Judge orders attorney's arrest, but karma strikes back instantly. They say justice is blind, but not today. When a powerful judge humiliated an innocent attorney in open court, no one dared to speak up. But what happened next shocked the entire courtroom. Because karma didn't wait a day, an hour, or even a minute. It struck instantly. Stay tuned till the end, because what this judge faced will make you believe that no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because stories like this remind us that karma never misses. The courthouse in Montgomery County was known for being strict, but fair, except when Judge Robert Harlan was on the bench. Known for his booming voice, icy stare, and short temper, Judge Harlan ruled his courtroom like a kingdom. People whispered that once you stood before him, you'd better be ready to be embarrassed. On the other side of the courtroom was attorney Marcus Hill, a young but talented lawyer who believed in fairness, respect, and the truth. Marcus wasn't flashy. He didn't drive luxury cars or wear expensive suits. He came from humble beginnings and often took pro bono cases, helping those who couldn't afford representation. On this day, Marcus was defending a single mother named Tanya Brooks, who was being unfairly evicted from her apartment by a wealthy landlord. The case was simple, until Judge Harlan decided to make it personal.
From the moment Marcus started speaking, the judge interrupted him. "Counselor Hill," the judge barked, "you're wasting the court's time with emotional nonsense. Stick to the law." Marcus, calm but firm, replied, "Your Honor, I'm simply trying to show the human side of this case. This mother deserves to be heard." The courtroom fell silent. Judge Harlan's face turned red. He slammed his gavel. "One more word out of line, and I'll hold you in contempt." Everyone could feel the tension. The bailiff shifted nervously. Even Tanya looked terrified. But Marcus didn't back down. He looked the judge in the eye and said softly, "With all due respect, Your Honor, the law is about people." The judge's pride couldn't handle it. He stood up and shouted, "Bailiff, arrest this man for contempt of court." The entire courtroom gasped. Marcus froze as two officers approached. He couldn't believe it. Arrested, for standing up for justice. Marcus didn't resist. He calmly handed his briefcase to Tanya and said, "Keep fighting. Don't give up, no matter what happens to me." The bailiffs handcuffed him right there, before everyone. The crowd whispered, and reporters who were covering the landlord's case started scribbling frantically. Cameras flashed. The image of an attorney being led away in cuffs for defending a mother went viral within hours. The internet exploded. "Judge abuses power again," one headline read. "Attorney arrested for speaking truth," said another. Within a day, hashtags like #JusticeForMarcus and #AbuseOfPower began trending. But while the public raged online, Judge Harlan sat in his chambers, smug and satisfied. "That'll teach him to question my authority," he muttered to his clerk. What he didn't know was that his arrogance had just triggered something far bigger than he ever imagined. Because Marcus Hill wasn't just any lawyer. He had quietly built a reputation for defending victims of injustice, some of whom were court staff, clerks, and even former employees of Judge Harlan himself. And those people had stories. Stories of Harlan's cruelty, of bribes taken under the table, and of rulings made for personal gain. Now that Marcus was publicly humiliated, they began to talk. An anonymous email reached the local news. "You think Marcus deserved to be arrested? Look into the judge's finances. Look into his rulings. The truth will shock you." Within 48 hours, investigative journalists dug up what looked like a bombshell. Judge Harlan had received donations from several real estate companies, including the landlord's firm in Tanya's case. It was clear, the judge had ordered Marcus's arrest not for contempt, but to silence him. But karma was just getting started. A week later, the courthouse was packed. News cameras lined the steps, protesters held signs reading, "Justice for Marcus," and "Judges aren't gods." Inside, the state's Judicial Ethics Commission had called for an emergency hearing. And this time, Judge Harlan wasn't sitting on the bench, he was standing before it. Marcus, now released and cleared of contempt charges, walked in dressed in a simple gray suit. The crowd stood and applauded quietly. Even Harlan looked uneasy. The lead investigator began reading the findings. Judge Robert Harlan has been found to have accepted financial incentives from parties appearing in his courtroom. The judge's face went pale. He tried to speak, but the chairman cut him off. Your position demands fairness, not favoritism. You violated the trust of this court and the people of this state. The irony was painful. Just a week earlier, Harlan had ordered Marcus arrested in this very room. Now, it was his turn to face judgment. The commission voted unanimously to suspend him pending investigation. As the hearing ended, Marcus stood up, not to gloat, but to speak. Your Honor. I never wanted revenge, Marcus said softly. I wanted respect, for the law, for the people who believe in it. Justice isn't about ego. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard. The room was silent. Even the camera flashes stopped. Judge Harlan looked at Marcus, his eyes full of shame. He tried to speak, but his voice cracked. I forgot what justice meant, he whispered. As he walked out, the same bailiff who had handcuffed Marcus a week earlier now escorted him out of the courtroom. The poetic symmetry wasn't lost on anyone. Karma didn't knock quietly, it kicked the door wide open. In the weeks that followed, Marcus became a symbol of courage across the legal community. Law students quoted his courtroom words, "The law is about people." News networks invited him for interviews. People sent him letters, thanking him for standing up when others stayed silent. But Marcus didn't let fame change him. He went back to work, taking on more cases for those who couldn't afford justice. As for Judge Harlan, his story took a humbler turn. After a full investigation, he was officially removed from the bench. The state bar suspended his license for unethical conduct. Months later, Marcus received a letter with no return address. Inside was a handwritten note, I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I finally see the man I became. I'm sorry. Robert Harlan. Marcus sat quietly for a long time. Then he smiled and placed the letter in his drawer. Because in his heart, he knew something powerful, forgiveness is also part of justice. A year later, Tanya, the mother he was defending that fateful day, won her case. She hugged Marcus outside the courthouse, tears in her eyes. You didn't just save my home, she said. You saved my faith in justice. Marcus smiled, looking at the courthouse where it all began. Sometimes, he said, karma doesn't destroy, it teaches. As the camera zooms out, we see Marcus walking down the courthouse steps into the golden sunlight, briefcase in hand, his head held high. Soft inspiring music builds up, because in the end, it wasn't power or pride that won, it was truth. From the moment Marcus started speaking, the judge